Hey, Stamper fans! Welcome to another Make It Monday. I'm Nan Gerlitz, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Bloomington, Illinois, and I'm so happy to have you here tonight. Um, it is Monday, February 27th, so if you are watching live, thank you very much for joining me. If you are watching the replay, I am happy that you've stopped by. I hope you stick around to learn some tips and tricks and just enjoy my general humor, Um, I've got a really fun card for you tonight, which was my winning entry from last Friday's Friday Night Stampin'. And I also have three alternative cards of the same layout, but very different designs. So something for everybody, we hope. Okay, what do we got tonight? All right. I want to talk to you a couple minutes here real quick before we get into crafting time, because tomorrow, February 28th, is the last day of celebration for the entire year of 2023. We're not doing it again this year. This is it. So if you have not gotten the freebies that you wanted, hop on my store. You can find the link in the video description and get what you need. Freebies with every $50 or $100 order. Hello, hello, Penny. You made it. Yay. I've missed you these last couple of weeks. So yes, so if you have not gotten your celebration freebies yet, make sure you hop on either tonight or tomorrow. Tomorrow is the final day, February 28th. And I have some other things to show you as well as we're crafting tonight. The other thing I wanted to share with you was the join offer that I've been talking about. Oh, I love this. Okay, I must see TV now, right? Must watch me. The joint offer that I've been talking about, I wanted to share just really quickly my story because next Monday marks my 20th Stampiversary. So 20 years since I've been a demonstrator next Monday. So very big day. And it's very funny because I was stamping about a year before I decided to join as demonstrator. And when I first found stamping, before that, I was like, what is the big deal with these rubber stamps? Like, these women are crazy for these rubber stamps. I don't understand. It's just like ink and stamps, right? Like, I'm not misunderstanding this. Oh, I like that idea. Balloons and cake, mostly the cake. I don't care about the balloons. I'll see what I can do though. um, but yeah, so I didn't get the attraction of this whole rubber stamping thing. I was selling something else for another company at the time, and I stumbled across a Stampin' Up! Representative at a vendor fair. I had my booth for my company. She had hers for Stampin' Up! And I thought to myself, oh, that would be kind of cute to make little cards for my hosts this year for Christmas, So I went over and I was so smart. I brought a penguin stamp set because then I only needed a black ink pad. I didn't need a whole bunch of colors, right? And I didn't even buy cardstock from her. I went and bought it someplace else. Big mistake. um, but yeah, so long story short, I made really super, super simple postcards basically with penguins on them for my hosts. And she kept inviting me, the representative kept inviting me to her classes every month. And as it happened every month, I had a party to work the same night of her class. So finally, a few months later, I went to one of her classes and I walked in and I saw the samples and I thought, I can't do that. And I walked out and all my cards looked just like the samples. And I thought, oh my gosh. And I was hooked right then. I understood what the big deal was about. And so I just kept going back to monthly classes. I'd bring a friend or relative every once in a while and just got to know a whole bunch of new people and a bunch of new friends. And a year later, I was obsessed, so much so that my catalog traveled everywhere with me, which it still does sometimes. But I would take it to bed and I would take it to work and all the things. And I was so obsessed that I thought, well, this is silly. I need to quit selling for the company I'm with and I need to sign up as a demonstrator. And that was 20 years ago. So and it's been fabulous. I have loved every minute of it. I get a discount on all of my personal orders, which is fabulous, which means if I want to make gifts or anything like that, 20% or more off for all of my supplies. So that's cool. But I also get to go to exclusive events that Stampin' Up! Puts on for demonstrators. And I've made tons of friends. I mean, you guys have seen Lucia pop in here once in a while. She's in Australia. We're like best buds. We've never met in real life. Some of my best friends live in my computer. And I never would have come across them if it weren't for Stampin' Up! So it's more than just a business. It can be just a discount plus all those other perks. It can be a business plus all those other perks. So definitely, if you have any questions, today and tomorrow is the best time to do it. All year long is a good time, but if you have any questions, give me a holler and I'd be happy to answer any of them. So with all that said, let's flip the camera down here. Let's get to do some stamping, and I'll share some more stories as we're going probably. So Celebration, just want to remind you, tomorrow is the last day, and there are 3 ways to save during Celebration. The first way is just by purchasing. For every $50 or $100 in products you order, you get to pick out one of the freebies. So all of these so far have been $50 items. And now we're into our $100 items. So we've got a couple of those you've seen me use. The second way you can participate is to host. Now, this is interesting because we talk about hosting, but most people don't really host a workshop anymore or a party at their house. They might host it online, like on Facebook or over Zoom, or they might just put in a really big order for themselves. And that constitutes as, hosting, right? So you get Stampin' Rewards or freebies for doing that. And with Celebration, if you either host a party that reaches $300 or you put in a personal order of $300, you'll get this stamp set free on top of all the other freebies that you normally get for that size order. And the last way that you can participate and save is that join offer I was talking about. And there's 3 options. There's really kind of 2 options, but one of those options has a color choice. So the basic option is you pay $99 for the kit, which is what you'd pay all year long. But instead of just $125 worth of product, which is a great deal, you'd get $175 worth of product, your choice. The other 2 options, you pay $129 for the kit. You get the same $175 in products, plus you get the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss, so the baby boss, as we call it here. And you can either get it in the traditional white or this boho blue, which is exclusive during Celebration. So you won't be able to get that afterwards. So that's my little jam. And the join link is up in the video description as well. So if you are interested and want to just hop on and join the Steampunk Stampers team, click that link. So tonight, we are using a new suite of products that will be available March 1st. So you've got your Celebration that's ending tomorrow, and then the very next day, we've got a bunch of online exclusives. And this is what we know so far, because even demonstrators don't know all of the stuff that's coming. But we did have a month's notice to pre-order some fun goodies. So that's what we're stamping with tonight. And I'm stamping with this entire suite of products, the Hello Irresistible Suite Collection. And I will show you what all is included in that. We have our Irresistible Blooms bundle. So it's got this really pretty stamp set. It is a cling stamp set, which means it's red rubber. And so it's got floral. We've got some nice splatter pattern, which is really fabulous for adding texture to simple cards. So don't overlook that stamp. And then we've got some really great fonts for some really fun sentiments, just your basics. You've got your thank you and hello and hooray, it's your day, and I like you, which is fun. And I couldn't be happier to have you as my friend. That's just sweet. So really useful sentiments in this stamp set. Sometimes I will say, and you probably feel the same way, that sometimes I'll see a stamp set that I love the images, but the sentiments are not something that I would ever say. So I really like the sentiments in this one. They're very, just natural, down to earth kind of things. And then we have the die set that will cut out the leaves and flowers, the stamps in here. And then they've got some extra fun. Oh, and even this tiny leaf, I forgot that little guy. This will cut that out. And then you've got some extra leaves and some really fun doodads that we'll be working with tonight. Okay. The other things that come in the suite are these fun, let me see what they're called, loose frosted dots. So they're pinks and yellows and like a deep teal green. And I'll have a little something to tell you when I get to the paper here in a minute. These are not adhesive backed, so I will show you one of the ways that you can attach them as we're stamping tonight. The other thing that comes in the suite is this beautiful pack of 6x6 papers. Now, you'll be able to purchase all of these things separately. So if you just want the stamp set, or if you just want the papers, or you just want those frosted dots, you can totally do that. You can buy the bundle and skip the papers, but I don't know why you would. Or you can get the whole thing with one item number, booms, done, which is what I did, obviously. So this pack of paper, it's a pack of 48 sheets, 6x6 papers, 4 each of 12 double-sided designs. So let's walk you through them here. So, gorgeous colors and some really fun just watercolor washes on the other side. You've got some geometric, doesn't it look like a stormy sea maybe? That's pretty. You've got this fun kind of, I always think of like the 70s beaded curtains, which are totally coming back. So when I see this design, so it's very kind of mod. You've got some great leafies. I love the kind of variegated backgrounds here. Oh, and that's something I wanted to talk about. Not that one yet. Yeah, not yet. So this particular pattern of paper, the die cuts in the die set, those will cut out these flowers, which is what we're using on tonight's card. And the leaf dies will cut out these leaves in this paper. And I think at least one other one. This is so cool. It kind of reminds me of like an aquarium, because they're all kind of crowded around the bottom and then floating up. And a little geometric. We've got some more leaves, which is the page we'll be using tonight as well. And it's just some fun splatter dots. I like that. Here's a deeper aquarium. So this is one of the things I was going to tell you. With this particular suite of products, Stampin' Up! Has announced that Pretty Peacock, which was an old in color, is in this paper. And also Lost Lagoon, which was an old in color, is in this pack of paper. And we're all like, wait a minute. So are we getting ink pads in those colors? Because we don't know yet. And also, are we getting a color refresh? Because about 5 years ago or so, Stampin' Up! Did a color refresh, and they retired some of our core colors, and they brought back some in colors. And I think they added some new ones as well. So it's all speculation right now, but we might be seeing that. So demonstrators will actually get the inside track on that probably next month when the retired list comes out, and we'll get to peek at the annual catalog before all the rest of y'all. Don't you want to join the team and get the scoop? So this one, again, the dies will cut out these flowers. Another pretty leafy pattern. And these leaves, the dies will cut out those as well, which is also what I did on the card for tonight. The only stamping I did is the greeting on this card. All the rest was done by the papers. So talk about an impressive card, but really pretty easy. All right. So that's everything that's included in the new suite, which will be available online only March 1st. So these online exclusives, they're going to release, I want to say twice a year. It might be 3 times, but I feel like it's twice. I will double check. and they will be online exclusive. Some things will be available while supplies last. Some things will be restocked when things run out. So you just kind of have to keep checking the shop and sign up for my email if you're not already, and I will keep you informed of all of that as well. All right, so we know the stamps and stuff we're using, the inks. So I don't have the Lost Lagoon or the Pretty Peacock, obviously. So what I did was I went with Soft Succulent because it was pretty close to that leafy color. So I thought that would coordinate as well. So we are starting off with a soft seafoam, which is kind of one of my new favorites. So I really hope it doesn't go away if they do a color refresh. This is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. My standard A2 United States size. And for some reason, I always kind of have a little bit of an overlap. So I always have that on top. You will also need a scrap of the soft seafoam because we're going to be die cutting some leaves out of that. Next, we have a piece of basic white that is 5 1/4 by 4. That's for the inside of our card. And we also need a little scrap of basic white for our greeting. So this one is about 1.5 inch square. It's not, but about that. Just big enough for your greeting is all. The next layer we've got is a soft succulent layer, which is 5 1/4 by 4, I believe. Yes, 5 1/4 by 4. And then I've got a piece of that soft seafoam leafy paper. So pretty. And this one is actually slightly smaller. So this one is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And all of these measurements are in the link with the supply list up in the video description. So you don't have to be, writing down or saying, oh, I missed what she said. I've also got a scrap of this leafy paper that we're going to die cut the leaves out of. And then I've already pre-die cut 3 of our flowers, a bigger one and then the 2 smaller ones. So you don't have to watch me die cut all night. All righty. What else do we have? We have fun stuff tonight. We are using dimensionals, but we are also using foam adhesive strips. These originally came out to help us make shaker cards so you could kind of close up that window to hold all of your shaker goodies in, but I'm going to use them tonight and I will explain why when we get to it because it makes a big difference. I found out after I made my sample. And we will also be using our liquid adhesive specifically along with my stamp and seal. So, all right. Yeah, let's get to it. So first of all, let's do a little bit of stamping. Okay, I did lie. We're actually going to stamp those little leaves as well. Because I got to pretty up the inside of my card, right? So we will take our block B. We need a hello. And we need that tiny leaf, which is like one of my favorite little stamps all of a sudden. And our soft succulent. Our soft succulent is one of the in colors that is retiring this year. And I will say, I feel pretty confident it's going to retire. But now with all of this new color information, we really just don't know, guys. Sorry. I'll let you know, though, as soon as I hear. So you can snag your goodies. All right, so we've got our hello. Clean that off on my chamois. And we've got our little leaf. And I'm just going to put a little leaf in each of the opposite corners here, just to give the inside a little snazziness. There we go. And that is all the stamping we're doing. Now, on the alternatives I have to show you at the end of the video, there's some more stamping involved. So I've taken that into consideration. But I wanted to show you that it's really easy just to make a pretty card with very little stamping. All right, so let's get that inside out of the way, right? A little bit of adhesive, top and bottom, or a little bit in each corner. You don't need much. Center that on the inside. Done. Get that out of our way for a minute. And now we've got to go die cut a lot of things. Okay, so we have our 3 flowers already die cut. We are going to need at least 3 of the big leaves, 3 of the tiny leaves, 3 of the open leaves. A lot of leaves. So we are going to use our big boss because we're also going to die cut the main part of the front, the card front, and that will not fit through the mini boss. So grab our dies. So we've got our kind of trio leaf pattern here. Just get that all lined up. We've got a teeny tiny one, so let's grab this one over here. Actually, let's grab this one. You just kind of have to figure out which ones you can die cut at the same time without kind of overlapping your dies, you know? And then we've got a 2-leafer over here. See if we can get those all done in one pass. I'm not sure, we'll see. Okay, and then we need 3 of these really cool open leaf pattern ones. I really like these. We just add a little oomph. And I put that all down on top of my top plate. My top plate does not normally live on top of the other plate. When I have it in my little station, it's always kind of off so that it's just ready to have stuff set on it. You love how I've been using a lot of leaves, like the die cuts? Is that what you're talking about, Penny? Because I've been loving that as well. Okay, I'm going to give you my super technical way of getting your dies out of here. Sometimes it works. There it is. Boom, it works. Just don't drop it from a really high height or on concrete or anything. You know, you don't want to damage your dies. And you can always use your take your pick tool, which I always have handy because you're going to need it. But these come out pretty easily, and I would have thought that they would be like, oh my gosh, but no, everything comes out pretty easily. And even the middle guys just pop right out. All right, so we've got 3 of those. Get all those little scrappies off. Throw them in my trash. Those kind of little scraps, by the way, if you do make a lot of shaker cards or if you do a lot of parties or stuff and you're looking for confetti, built-in confetti, just keep them in a bowl or a little, you know, a little something. And then you don't have to buy confetti. So always upcycle, right? All right, so there we've got one of our little leaves. Yeah, this particular card, I was really, I tend to lay out things when I do this kind of a collage-y kind of look. And all of them cut beautifully. Yay! When I do a collage-y look like this, I kind of lay everything out before I start adhering it because, you know, I don't want to paste stuff down and then be like, oh, I didn't want that there, or that doesn't look right, or it's unbalanced. So I get it to where I want it, and then I start picking up just little pieces together and gluing them together. So, all right, let's grab, I think we just need another tour. I'm just going to die cut that off camera. Voila, through the magic of television. All right. Yeah, and I think that'll be enough. Get all my pieces back here on my magnet sheet. I should probably talk about that in case you're not familiar with how Stampin' Up! Dies come. They do not come on magnet sheets like this. This is something I do to them afterwards. So they come in kind of a little clear, kind of like this, but a envelope. So it closes. And what I do is I take them all out and put them on a magnet sheet like this and label them so they're easier for us to go through is all. So you can do that if you want, or you can leave them in their little envelope. Either way is just fine. Depends on your space and your budget and your preferences. But I want to make sure you realize that they don't come like this. Okay. And then we want to use this fabulous die. Gosh, this was like my favorite part of this whole thing. Probably the thing that sold me on it. You guys know we love a circle die around here, right? I mean, we're just crazy for them. And a circle die with some extra interest is super fun. All right, there is a spider that has decided to join me. That's not okay. You can tell it was a tiny spider because I would have screamed otherwise. I am definitely not a spider person. Okay, so I'm just going to put this kind of towards the top and basically centered. I'm not being too picky about it. The flowers are going to cover a whole lot of mistakes, right? All right. That is the last of our die cutting. So you will see you have a big spot right here that is extra. So, you know, hang on to that because you could totally stamp a greeting in there and cut it out or use that for more leaves or something like that. So always something I have a set of them on my desk now. And then here's the other cool thing. This die does not cut out the outside ring. So it leaves it attached. So I have a Band-Aid on because I think I did that with paper. I think I did a paper cut to myself over the weekend while I was crafting. I don't remember it happening. So there's that. There's just a couple of tiny guys that I need my pokey to. Oh, the other one came out. So there you go. So yes, you can, through just a couple of snips, you could snip that out and add it to something else and have your big circle that's cut out. But there is no die cut piece on the very outside rim of this. So it does stay attached to whatever you have. All right, something to keep in mind. Okay, now we can get to some assembly. So the reason I cut this one slightly smaller, 1/8 of an inch smaller on each side, is because when I go to put it on the backing, I didn't want it peeking out at all. So if it's a little smaller, it's easier to layer that in so I know it's not going to peek out. So how I'm going to assemble this is, I found the best way to do it was to put a regular dimensional in each corner of the designer paper, because I know that's going to be hidden underneath. So, and I know that I have each of these corners free. So that'll be good. Now what I'm going to do, if you'll notice on my sample from Friday night, these parts are kind of laying against the designer paper and they're not sticking up well because I didn't use the strips. I just used regular dimensionals and tried to get that lift, but you can see there's some sagging in the middle. So I solved that with my other samples with our strips. And so I find it easier to kind of cut these in half because it doesn't matter to me if they're connected all the way around. They just need to work their way around. So these are pretty cool because they're thin, they're skinny, so that you can kind of bend them. But they're just like dimensionals. They just come off. They're sticky on that bottom side, and then there's a paper layer that I'm going to peel off to reveal the sticky on the other side. And I'm just going to ring around this entire circle so that it'll give it more lift and it won't have that sagginess. And I think right there would add one more dimensional to fill in that gap. So there we go. So now we can take off all of these backings. These strips are just great for this. So if you have another card even that you want to do, you know, strips all the way down each side, obviously you would use strips and then you would use fewer dimensionals. Okay, so those are all off. Let's take these off. And then what I'm going to do is take the designer paper and place it over this. So I can kind of see that I have a mat all the way around. And that way I know that's going to be hidden behind that layer. So you'll just see what's peeking through. And if you notice, you've got a lot of good height, even though I didn't put dimensionals on any of these, you know, little strings and dots, because I've ringed it all the way around, I've got a much more height on this one than I do on the other one. Cool. All right, I got to catch up with comments because they're coming in fast and furious now. Yeah, see, so Penny's saying the same thing. This die is why she got the set too. It is a pretty amazing die. My next thing actually is coming up with something fun for this one because I like this one as well. Okay, so we've got that part down, all good. I'm going to assemble my flowers and everything here. So I will walk you through basically what I did. I was like, okay, I know I want the big one in the middle, and you know, another one over here. Oh, I think we had it up a little farther. See this darn Band-Aid. It is sticking to everything and grabbing things. It's very annoying. Oh my. Okay. So then I'm like, okay, I want some leaves over here. We'll have that stick off just a little bit. And then I want some separation in between these flowers, right? Because you don't want just a line of pink. So you definitely want some leaves sticking out in between them. Put some in here. So this is basically what I do when I'm creating. I'm just like, okay, how am I going to get this all together? And I liked these soft seafoam ones, and I liked them kind of peeking out down onto the succulent so you could really see them well. That guy will go down there. And then, oh, I forgot to die cut more of these tiny leaves, but so we'll just pop one up here. So there, it's like that was a pleasing pattern to me. So then I decided, okay, let's take some of our liquid glue and we'll just start picking up top layers. So these two, I know that's about where I want them. So we'll pop some glue on the edge of that leaf. Put that together. And then we also want to put this leaf on the back, so we can just pop a little glue there. And I'm going to scooch that in because you don't want it sticking off the edge of your card so you can't get it in your envelope, right? So, all right, I'm going to place this bundle aside so I can work on my next little guy here. I'll take this guy out. Let's just put a little glue on the end of that leaf. And that'll go there. All right, so that one's gonna, and I'll get to these in a minute. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of glue there, and then I need a dimensional because all of this is popped up. So if I don't put a dimensional on the edge of this, so the dimensional is out here, if I didn't put that there, it would weigh down the rest of this die cut, and then we'd have that smushy problem again, right? We'd have it all sagging. We don't want that. So, okay. So that one's stuck. We're just going to put a little bit of glue top and bottom on this guy. And a little goes a long way with this. Just lift up the edge and pop that in there. We'll do the same thing with our little skeleton leaves. And we'll find a spot. There we go. Nice. Okay, so our big flower is next. So again, we need a dimensional. And actually, I found when I was making samples the other day that 2-dimensionals. So you know you can stack dimensionals, right? So I'm going to peel the backing off and I'm going to stack these 2 high because then it really won't push down, right? Because it's already got, it's going to be kind of on top of a couple of things. We'll put a little bit of glue on that side. So that glue is right here. And we'll pop that in. And those dimensionals will keep that nice and high so it'll keep this from sagging. And again, a little bit of glue top and bottom on our little skeleton leaf. And we'll just tuck him underneath here. And then we've got this big guy. And I'm actually just going to do glue. Put him down a little farther here. And that's all he needs. And then a little bit on this. Poke it underneath before that glue sets. And there's all of our bouquet, all just nice and arranged, right? So, while that is, I'm just going to give that a second to dry. And here's how we're going to do our greeting today. We are going to fussy cut it. And I actually got some Goo Gone over the weekend, finally, and cleaned all of my scissors. It's so lovely. And my bone folders, because my bone folders actually had a lot of adhesive and stuff on them. So I gave everything a good bath and got everything good and clean and cutting really nice. So now remember, when we fussy cut, we want to move our paper, not our scissors. So you'll notice I'm just up and down on those scissors, but I'm keeping them straight ahead. And I'm just moving the cardstock to follow the words that I need. I feel like I have dead air. But I also feel like I need to concentrate a little more when I'm fussy cutting. So this word hello is a really good one to do because it's it's almost like balloony kind of letters. And it's small enough that, you know, fussy cutting it is not a major endeavor, right? You can get that done pretty quickly. Obviously, I just did. Yes, clean your scissors. I was reminded because another demonstrator posted on Facebook that she just cleaned all of her scissors. And I'm like, ooh, yeah, I need to do that. So this is everybody's reminder to clean your scissors. Okay, and then a little bit of liquid glue on this one as well. And we're going to pop that right in the middle here. Because I didn't want to detract from this nice little bouquet of flowers I had going, right? Okay. Now, where's my base? There we go. So you could turn this over and you can either do your seal or you can do your liquid glue. I opted for seal because, as we all know, I'm impatient and I don't like to wait for things to dry. You just don't want to press very hard because it's all up on the dimensionals and whatnot. So it's just a pretty light pressure. You could obviously do that before you put all your flowers on, and then you could build that once you have your card front together. There we go. Okay, now all that's left is these frosted dots. And remember, I said that these do not have adhesive on the back, so they're not like the sequins that I've been using for weeks on end. I love them, though. Personally, for me, I have found the best way. I thought I would love my Take Your Pick tool, but the putty end is a little too sticky, right? So it doesn't release. So the thing that I have found that works best for me is my really cool scissors from the embossing kit. And I'll just pull out a couple of these. Oh, I used pink and green. Okay. So let's just get them out here on my grid paper. One of the things that's, oh, I wanted a smaller one, that's awesome about these tweezers is that they stay closed when you're not squeezing them. You have to squeeze them to open. So it takes a minute to get used to them. I will say. So the first time you use them, you're probably like, what in the heck? I'm constantly doing it backwards. But you're fine. I want a smaller one of those too. Where's the itty bitty? There we go. Okay. So it's got like a, let me see if I can, here, the green one's probably better to show you. So on the smooth side, it is very shiny. There we go. And on the top side, it is frosted, just like the name would imply. So that way you know kind of which way you've got them. So, okay. So what we're going to do here is a little bit of liquid glue again. And you want tiny dots. Because if you put a big smoosh of liquid glue and then you put your frosted dot on it, it's going to smoosh out and you're going to have glue exposed on your card. So literally, that is like the size dot I'm talking, tiny. And then I'm going to take my tweezers this way and just drop it on there. Smaller one. And we're just going to let that set. And then up here, we will do 3 more tiny dots. It just really doesn't take much. So, pink one, and green one, and another pink one. And there we have our finished card. Super simple. And yes, I can go ahead and tip that, and those aren't going anywhere. Once those are dry, that's a really good, strong adhesive, that liquid adhesive. So you're not going to have any trouble with those coming off. They'll be good. All right, so now I did promise you alternatives, right? So I showed you all the pretty papers that we had in that paper pack. So I made one card that's exactly the same layout pretty much in everything, except instead of die cutting the leaves and flowers out of the papers, I stamped them and die cut them and used different papers. So here we go, more pink, the Flirty Flamingo, and then the yellow paper behind. So then I pulled in the yellow frosted dots instead of the pink. And these flowers were just, flowers and leaves were stamped instead of cut out of the paper. So a little more work, obviously, because you've got to stamp first. But yes, I absolutely love that. So then I thought, let's take that same layout idea. So basically, I just took another sheet of the paper and I still did that same circle die cut. And I went with kind of just a little bit different theme. So this one's all leafy, it's kind of jungly. So for this color, obviously, since again, I didn't have Pretty Peacock yet, I've used Evening Evergreen, which is another in color. So that looks really fun with the daffodil out of the papers. I die cut these out of the papers again to coordinate. Just a little guy hanging out up there. Just a few of the yellow frosted dots and the thank you. Again, just fussy cut. So, and then lastly, a very dramatic turn. So the same circle cut out of the front, right? Different paper I grabbed. And this one is a very different feel. So here we've got, I guess it does kind of look aquarium-ish, doesn't it? But yeah, I've got that basic black on top because I wanted a really dramatic definition there. I wanted to see all those dots. And then I pulled out the Eden's Garden dies that I used last week and made these fun little borders and just stamped right on there. This is gray granite that I pulled out and then die cut one of those leaves too. So there's the 4 cards that I have made for you. Basically the same layout, but look at how different they all are. Pull those down, there we go. All right, so dark one Penny likes, the green one, that one. I absolutely love this. I kind of am loving the black because it's such a different vibe from the rest of them. But honestly, I love them all. They were just really good. So this particular suite, as I told you, will be available to everyone starting March 1st, which is Wednesday, and it is the Hello Irresistible Suite. So you'll be able to see that in my shop, and the link is in the video description, but you can purchase anything that you see here in my shop anytime. So this particular collection will be available March 1st. The other things that we know will be available March 1st are this really awesome letters stamp set, which I did purchase as well. There's a 3-pack of embossing folders, which is kind of basic shapes. And then there's some really pretty gilded designer paper that has, I believe it's copper and gold and silver gilded designs on them. So we know that those will all be available March 1st. And there also will be additional products available March 1st that even we as demonstrators don't know about yet. So that will be very exciting Wednesday morning to wake up and visit my shop and see what there is. So that's, I think, about all. Let me pop back up here so I can chat with you all. As always, the full supply list for tonight's card and cardstock measurements is in the video description. So you can just click that link anytime to get all of that. You don't have to worry about rewinding the video if you're just missing a specific product or measurement. Okay, that's all there. The link to my shop is in the video description. And the link to join our Steampunk Stampers team is also in the video description. We would love to have you. I support hobby demonstrators, you know, people that are just in it for the discount, as well as business builders and everybody in between. So there's no obligation if you purchase the kit. It's just a really great deal, and why wouldn't you, right? So even if you never do anything else after that and just go back to being a happy customer, I'm good with that. So all right. Well, I hope you got some good tips tonight. I hope that you are wowed by this new collection that's coming on Wednesday. I hope you're all going to pop into my store and just have to have it, because I know I did. I don't always buy the full suite collection of things that come out. There's, you know, sometimes I'm just like, well, I don't care about that so much, or I don't care about this so much, so I'll just buy these pieces. But I loved everything about this one. So, and I think you will too. All right. If you learned something new today, go ahead and hit the share button so all your friends and family can also learn some new things. And until next week, when we celebrate my stamp anniversary, I'm still Nan Gerlitz. Happy stamping.